The Wake County Transit Investment Strategy Kickoff was held Monday, December 8th. The kickoff, held at the Raleigh Convention Center, was an important opportunity for the community to learn about the new transit strategy and begin discussing some of the choices and trade-offs that will need to be considered. More than 550 people attended from all parts of the community and participated in activities before and after the meeting. Those who attended in person, as well as those at home, had an opportunity to ask questions and get more information.
I came tonight to see what the new transit planning process would be about. I was very excited about the previous plan, but we didn't move forward with it, and I'm so excited to see so many people come and be engaged with how important transit is for our community.
I think there are several things we're doing differently here. First of all, we really want to have a conversation with the community about what your ultimate goals of transit are. I think it's often been easy to get into arguments about a particular project without really having a clear conversation about what the whole point of transit is. There are actually many different purposes, many different benefits that transit has, and we have to have a conversation about which of those are more important in this community. I think the other thing that's different is that I, as a consultant, make a point to never really say what I think you should do. My role is rather to frame the questions based on 23 years of experience going through this process in many other cities, and to really frame the questions that the community needs to think about and that the stakeholders need to think about and that ultimately the Wake County Commission will need to think about. As we go through this process, there'll be a series of points where a question will come out to the community, and we'll have some meetings about it, and there'll be some information on the website about it. So, and we encourage the community to think and talk in your own organizations about those questions. At one point, for example, we will present two maps of what two different ways that the plan might look. And we won't have a preference between those. The point with that will be to illustrate some different directions that the plan might go, and it'll really depend on what people think. So all the way through this is very dependent on community participation, people's engagement in the process, and that's really what's going to get us to the best possible plan.
Our timeline for developing the plan is essentially now. We have started the kickoff meeting tonight with the public. It begins now and it goes through the winter of 2015, the spring of 2015, and the summer of 2015 is the way we have it laid out right now. And a little more specifics along those lines. We intend to come out with our first product that the public will see called the Transit Choices document in January. And that will be a document that will tell the public a little bit about transit and about Wake County. It's not going to provide transit alternatives. It's not going to provide, certainly not a recommended network yet. Just some facts about Wake County and about transit in general to help set the table for the discussion. Later in the spring, we will come out with enhanced Transit Choices document, and that will include a couple of networks for the public to consider. And those network alternatives will be different and intentionally different to allow the public to consider some trade-offs, some of the things that we have to consider as we lay out a transit network. And so we're going to have public involvement before that and after that, so that we hear from the public during this process as we develop those initial two sets of alternatives, and then as we weigh the benefits of those two alternatives. And then in the summer of 2015 is when we really look to come out with a recommended transit plan that will really be what the community, what Wake County wants to see.
Well, I do a lot of traveling, and with the growth of Wake County, I see a big need in having some type of transportation system developed here.
My feelings from the transit meeting actually are pretty convinced that we need to move forward quickly. And I hope that this planning process is effective, but is also concise, because if we don't move forward soon, we're really going to be at a disadvantage to Durham and Orange counties.
Well, in a sense, the final product is a plan which specifies some things about what you want the transit network to look like after you have implemented presumably a successful referendum that generates the funding. It'll be at a certain level of detail. It won't be down to the level of what every bus route would do on every corner. It will be geographically specific about any major infrastructure, like certainly if there were a light rail line or a major piece of busway or something like that, that would be specific. It'll be specific probably about where the main commuter lines are, the links out to various communities and how they're connected. It'll be specific about something I call the frequent network, which is the network where service is always coming soon all day, mostly a bus network. But below that, it will probably be a little vague in general about saying this whole area will be covered with bus service, but we may not design the service exactly. The point is to get to just the right level of detail that people are comfortable going forward with the big ideas and to be able to measure the big outcomes. I want to emphasize one other thing though, which is that although the product will finally look like a document with some maps, in many ways the product is actually the conversation too. It's the conversations that we have that build people's understanding of public transit, that help them form clearer opinions about it based on what its advantages and disadvantages are, that are ultimately part of the product, because that product ultimately leads to some sort of referendum and some sort of decision on the part of the county, and we just want that to be an informed decision.